Welcome. Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. We cut through the noise, sift through the latest global reports, and extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight, custom-tailored for you, our incredibly curious listener.
Yeah, we're here to help you connect the dots, understand the bigger picture, and maybe uncover those surprising facts that make the world around us just so endlessly fascinating.
Today we are embarking on a truly expansive journey. We're going to discuss, well, a proposed mission to send a spacecraft to a black hole within the next 100 years.
100 years. Yeah, you heard that right.
Exactly. And from the farthest reaches of space, right down to the intricate workings of the human home, from high-stakes global diplomacy and, economic shifts to local societal impacts and environmental battles. Our sources today cover an incredible breadth of information.
And our mission really is to unpack the critical details, bridge those seemingly disparate events, and explore multiple perspectives.
Right, to make sure you feel enlightened and empowered, not overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. Starting with some truly mind-bending cosmic frontiers and scientific breakthroughs that, frankly, challenge our very understanding of the universe. Hashtag cosmic frontiers and scientific breakthroughs. Okay, let's unpack this. A trip to a black hole in a century. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi novel.
It really does, doesn't it?
We're talking about astrophysicist Cosimo Bambi's audacious proposal, a spacecraft to a black hole within 100 years. It's not just a pipe dream anymore, is it?
Well, what's fascinating here is how theoretical physics and engineering advancements are converging. They're starting to make such a mission, which was once purely speculative, physically plausible.
Plausible, wow.
Professor Bambi's findings suggest that, despite the extreme conditions, we are reaching a point where this audacious goal could actually be realized.
So the core insight isn't just that we can go.
Right. It's that this mission would effectively be a real-world stress test for Albert Einstein's general relativity under the most extreme conditions imaginable. It's about pushing the very limits of our understanding of gravity and space-time.
Potentially revealing cracks, maybe. Things that could lead to a unified theory.
That's the hope. Unifying gravity with quantum mechanics. And when scientists talk about targeting black holes, they aren't aiming for the supermassive ones at galactic centers, thankfully.
Okay, good.
Instead, they'd focus on those that are, let's say, relatively closer and less hazardous in terms of radiation and gravitational pull. Think stellar mass black holes. Still incredibly dense, but more accessible.
Right, accessible being a relative term here, I imagine. And getting there is half the battle, right? I mean, we're talking about mind-boggling distances, light years away.
The technological hurdles are immense, absolutely, particularly propulsion.
Yeah, we're not talking about your everyday rocket fuel here.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Proposals are looking at advanced propulsion systems like nuclear thermal rockets. These heat hydrogen propellant with a nuclear reactor, giving them vastly more thrust per unit of fuel than traditional chemical rockets. Or even more theoretical concepts like antimatter engines. They promise even greater efficiency by annihilating matter and antimatter to produce pure energy.
Wow.
These are technologies that, if perfected, could cut travel times from millennia down to something manageable within a century.
But then, okay, say you get there. How do you even get data back? That seems like another immense challenge, sending signals against incredible gravity over those vast interstellar distances.
Precisely. The telecommunications and sensor technologies would need, revolutionary leaps. Real-time communication might indeed be impossible.
Right.
But the sheer scientific value of any data retrieved would be immeasurable. This isn't just about the what if, it's about pushing the very boundaries of human ingenuity.
Okay, so our ambition to journey to black holes truly stretches the imagination. But sometimes the universe brings its wonders a little closer to home, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
The James Webb Space Telescope, that's the collaboration between NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, ESA, the European Space Agency, and CSA, the Canadian Space Agency, has just revealed a giant gas planet only 4.5 light years away.
Practically our cosmic next-door neighbor.
Exactly. And this isn't just another dot on the map, is it?
No, indeed. This discovery, being so near Earth, relatively speaking, is sparking immense excitement. The primary question immediately becomes, could this exoplanet have moons? Moons capable of sustaining life?
Ah, the big question.
Right. It fuels the ongoing search for extraterrestrial existence right in our cosmic vicinity. It gives us a tangible, closer target for future telescopic studies, maybe even comparisons to planets from popular culture, like in the Avatar movies,
Yeah, I can see that.
The closer such a world is, the more realistic it becomes to study its atmospheric composition and assess its habitability.
Makes sense. Okay, so from potential new homes to old familiar friends, though maybe not so familiar in their inner workings. Let's talk about Saturn's F-ring. Our sources describe it as a chaotic wonder and a continuously evolving structure.
Yeah, it's basically a cosmic hot mess, but in the best possible way.
Slight chuckle. A hot mess. I like that.
It truly is. Saturn's F-ring, among all its spectacular rings, really stands out for its dynamic and, frankly, bewildering nature. It holds myriad secrets about the conditions and processes in the outer solar system.
So what makes it so weird?
Well, it's a narrow, twisted helix of ice and rock debris, but what makes it particularly fascinating are the shepherd moons, Pandora and Prometheus.
Shepherd moons?
Yeah, they aren't just orbiting idly. Their gravitational tugs actively enforce and disrupt the ring's structure. They cause it to form these unique clumps, braids, and kinks that are constantly being dispersed, only to reform again.
Wow. So it's like a complex celestial dance choreographed by gravity.
Exactly, but with a lot of pushing and pulling involved.
And there's this phenomenon called jetting, which sounds kind of mundane, actually, but it's about icy particles being emitted.
Yes, jetting involves the emission of fine, icy particles from the ring's inner confines. It's likely driven by collisions from micrometeoroids and then subsequent electrostatic disruptions.
Okay.
These eruptions form temporary glowing mini-jets, and they're a major contributor to the ring's luminous, albeit, haphazard appearance.
And the composition isn't uniform either.
Not at all. It's quite varied, from dust-like grains to large chunks of water ice and rocky material. That's why its ability to reflect light, its albedo, can vary significantly across the room.
Okay, so all of this makes it, what, like a lab?
Exactly. A crucial live laboratory for studying solar system dynamics, accretion, erosion. It provides critical insights into how planetary systems form, maybe even how circumstellar disks around young stars might behave.
Okay, the intricate dance of Saturn's F-ring. It highlights the dynamic forces constantly shaping our universe at a grand scale. But equally astounding breakthroughs are happening at the smallest scales, right here on Earth, where we're learning to manipulate life itself. Imagine accelerating evolution to breakneck speeds. Scripps Research has unveiled something called T7 Oracle. It's a groundbreaking synthetic biology platform that apparently vastly accelerates the evolution of proteins.
This is truly groundbreaking stuff. The T7 Oracle system, developed by Pete Schultz and his team, achieves protein evolution thousands of times faster than what occurs naturally.
Thousands of times faster.
Yeah. And the truly groundbreaking insight here is T7 Oracle's ability to decouple mutation from cell replication. This means we're moving towards an era of directed evolution, where we can custom design proteins for incredibly specific tasks.
How does it actually work?
Well, it works by ingeniously engineering E. coli bacteria to include an artificial DNA that's deoxyribonucleic acid replication system from a bacteriophage T7. That's a type of virus that infects bacteria. This system allows for continuous hypermutation, but it specifically targets plasmid DNA. Those are the small, separate loops of genetic material within the bacteria. Critically, it does this without harming the E. coli's own main genome.
So it's precise. It doesn't mess up the host cell.
Exactly. That precision is key.
And the speed is just staggering. You mentioned thousands of times faster, but the reports say mutations at rates 100,000 times higher than normal.
That's right. Combined with the E. coli's frequent cell division, this means they're performing rounds of progress every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes.
Compared to traditional methods that could take a week or more for just a single round of manual DNA manipulations, it's a massive leap.
Wow. They even demonstrated its potential by rapidly evolving an enzyme that confers resistance to antibiotics, right? At doses far higher than nature would normally allow.
They did. And what this means for future breakthroughs is, well, it drastically reduces development times and increases the precision of biomolecular engineering.
And is it hard to use? Does it need special equipment?
That's the beauty of it. T7 Oracle has broad applicability, and it's easy to integrate into standard molecular biology workflows. No specialized equipment needed, making it broadly accessible to researchers.
So the implications for medicine, biotechnology, they're huge.
Immense, enabling rapid development of targeted therapies, entirely new molecules for synthetic genomics. We're talking about unlocking biological capabilities that nature took millennia to perfect. Things like breaking down stubborn plastics or creating novel therapeutics.
That's incredible. Okay, speaking of groundbreaking observations, let's swing back to space for just a moment. Appreciate the stunning new imagery from the Hubble Space Telescope of the Tarantula Nebula.
Oh yeah, beautiful stuff.
It truly looks like a cosmic spiderweb, doesn't it? Sprawling across the cosmos.
It's an iconic image. And the Tarantula Nebula isn't just visually stunning, it's a major star-forming region. It's located in the Large Magellanic Cloud, which is a satellite galaxy of our own Milky Way, about 160,000 light-years away.
And it's significant because
Because it's home to some of the most massive stars known. Some are up to 200 times the mass of our own sun.
wow, 200 times.
Yeah. Hubble's multi-wavelength capabilities allow for these incredibly detailed images, revealing intricate structures within the nebula. It enhances our understanding of star birth and stellar evolution on a truly grand scale. It's like a cosmic nursery, constantly creating new stellar giants.
Amazing. And before we leave the cosmic realm entirely, here's a truly mind-bending question that some sources are exploring. Is the universe conscious?
Ah, yes. This is where science and philosophy really intertwine, isn't it?
It seems so. This provocative claim echoes age-old philosophical questions.
Right. The theory, often associated with panpsychism, suggests that consciousness isn't just an emergent property unique to complex brains like ours, but rather a fundamental feature permeating every atom, every particle in the universe.
So consciousness is everywhere. How do they argue that?
Well, proponents point to the universe's structure, its vast, interconnected networks of galaxies and cosmic filaments. They argue it's remarkably similar to the complex neural networks of a human brain.
Hmm. Okay, I can see the visual similarity, but is that enough?
Skeptics argue exactly that these patterns are coincidental, maybe just fractals of complexity that appear similar at different scales. But some proponents link it to quantum mechanics, suggesting consciousness might be integral to the collapse of quantum wave functions, determining reality itself.
Okay, my brain hurts a little now. Slight chuckle.
Chuckles, it's a profound idea. If true, it blurs the lines between spiritual and scientific thought. It invites us to reconsider our place in a potentially living, thinking cosmos. Hashtag unraveling Earth's mysteries and environmental challenges.
All right, let's bring it back down to slightly more solid ground, moving from the cosmic to our very own rocky neighbor Mars. NASA's Mars 2020 Perseverance rover has been busy acting as a geological detective.
In the Jezero crater.
Right, in a region they've named Westport. This area is apparently a fascinating contact zone between bright, fractured outcrops and darker, smoother regolith that's the loose Martian rocky material likely containing clay.
And the rover's work in Westport is crucial for understanding Mars's past. Perseverance is specifically studying olivine-rich materials.
Olivine. Why is that important?
Olivine is a mineral that can provide really important clues about Mars's volcanic history and, more importantly, its past alteration by water.
Ah, the water connection.
Exactly. This could potentially indicate whether habitable conditions once existed on the red planet. By analyzing these materials, scientists are able to delineate the geological timeline of the broader northeast Syrtis region, deepening our understanding of Mars's early environment.
So it's like piecing together a planetary puzzle looking for ancient fingerprints of water and maybe life? Okay, from ancient Martian waters to modern Earth's raging oceans, we're seeing cutting-edge technology step up to protect us from natural forces. The U.S.-French SWAT satellite, that's surface water and ocean topography, recently captured crucial data on a tsunami wave.
Yeah, this was after that huge 8.8 magnitude earthquake near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, a very seismically active region.
And this data is actually useful.
Hugely useful. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's all about leveraging cutting-edge technology to protect human lives and infrastructure against these powerful natural forces.
Right.
The SWAT satellite's success is a big step forward. Its data, including precise wave height and path, directly enhances the forecast models used by NOAA's Tsunami Research Center, that's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
So better warnings, potentially.
Significantly better. It boosts future tsunami prediction and alert systems for coastal areas globally. It improves our resilience. The more precise the data, the more lead time communities have to evacuate and prepare.
That's a huge relief, honestly, because when you look at what our planet is dealing with right now, well, we need all the help we can get.
No kidding.
So what does this all mean? We're seeing more and more of these extreme weather events everywhere. France, for example, is battling its largest wildfire in decades near Toulouse in the Occitanie region.
Yeah, homes burning, massive evacuations.
And even though it's now reported as under control, firefighters say it will take days to fully extinguish. And this is happening as they brace for extreme temperatures.
It's an unprecedented scale of blaze for France, and it's not isolated, is it?
Not at all. On the U.S. West Coast, specifically in Los Angeles and Ventura counties in California, the fast-moving canyon fire just exploded. It rapidly grew from 50 to over 1,000 acres, forcing thousands to evacuate.
The intensity and speed of these fires are just alarming, often fueled by drought conditions, high winds.
And then, on the other side of the spectrum, literally, in China, we're seeing tragic flash floods. In Yusong County, Gansu Province, China, at least 10 people have died. 33 are missing after heavy rains caused widespread disruptions.
Thousands stranded, power out. President Xi Jinping had to call for utmost effort in rescue missions.
It's just relentless.
It is. And the articles note that these natural disasters, often exacerbated by climate change, are becoming increasingly common in China and globally. This is despite China's stated aim for carbon neutrality by 2060.
We also heard a brief kind of heartbreaking report about a frustrated landowner in a Midwestern U.S. state discovering an alarming cause behind devastating property damage to their farm.
Yeah, unexpected severe erosion due to shifting weather patterns, expressing immense heartbreak at the loss of their generational land. Mother Nature certainly isn't pulling any punches this week.
She really isn't. But beneath all that fury, Earth still holds some fascinating secrets, like the discovery of a hot blob of rock beneath New Hampshire in the northeastern United States. Sounds a bit quirky, doesn't it? A hot blob.
Slight chuckle. It certainly does sound quirky, but it's geologically significant. Scientists using seismic imaging discovered this anomalous hotspot deep beneath the surface.
And the theory is?
The intriguing theory is that this hot blob of rock might actually be contributing to why the Appalachian Mountains, which are quite ancient geologically, are still standing so tall today.
Really?
Yeah, it highlights the long-term dynamic geological processes that are constantly shaping our planet, even under seemingly stable landscapes. It reminds us how much is still happening beneath our feet, influencing things over millions of years.
Fascinating. Okay, from deep Earth to desperate struggles for survival on the surface, let's talk conservation. The latest global rhino count offers, well, a mixed bag, it seems.
It does. Black rhino numbers are actually increasing, which is fantastic news for conservation efforts, a real testament to dedicated work on the ground. But other species, like the Javan and Sumatran rhinos, are facing truly existential threats, and the persistence of poaching remains a significant issue overall.
Particularly in South Africa.
Yes, rhino killings there have actually risen recently, despite a global decrease in poaching incidents overall. It's a complex problem driven by demand in Asia.
This has led to some pretty innovative approaches, right? Like injecting radioactive material into rhino horns.
It sounds extreme, I know. But the goal there isn't to harm the rhino, it's to make the horns detectable by radiation sensors at ports and borders.
Okay, to deter traffickers.
Exactly. To make transporting illegal horns much riskier. It's a controversial, maybe even desperate measure, but it's an attempt to try and stem the tide of this illicit trade.
A creative, if desperate measure, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just animals facing threats, it's vast ecosystems and the people who depend on them. Brazil's Congress recently passed a controversial piece of legislation being called the Devastation Bill.
Yeah, that name tells you a lot about the reaction to it.
It aims to withdraw protection from 18 million hectares of land across the country, particularly in the Amazon region. What's the implication of that?
The implications are potentially severe. This bill eliminates the need for environmental licensing for certain businesses deemed economically strategic, which effectively opens the door to potential environmental degradation on a massive scale. Think large-scale agriculture, mining, infrastructure projects in previously protected areas.
And what about indigenous rights?
That's another major concern. It significantly diminishes the power of organizations protecting indigenous rights by weakening their ability to oppose such projects on ancestral lands. There's widespread criticism, including from the United Nations, the UN, and Brazil's Federal Public Ministry, warning of accelerated deforestation and environmental harm.
So President Lula da Silva faces a critical decision.
A very critical decision on whether to veto parts or all of this bill. He has to balance powerful economic interests with Brazil's global environmental commitments and the rights of indigenous peoples.
And closer to home, here in the U.S., we're seeing grassroots action making a stand. In New Jersey, apparently Gen Z activists are leading the opposition to a proposed 270-home subdivision.
Yeah, right next to the 1,300-acre Black Run Reserve in Evesham Township.
And this isn't just a local spat over development, is it? It's bigger than that.
Not at all. The Black Run Reserve sits within the Pine Barrens, a unique natural region encompassing over 20% of New Jersey's land. It's incredibly ecologically significant.
Home to endangered species.
Exactly, like the Pine Barrens tree frog and the state-threatened northern pine snake. Crucially, it also sits atop the Kirkwood-Cohansey Aquifer, a vital freshwater resource for South Jersey.
So developing this land would threaten wildlife,
Wildlife, water scarcity, and increased flood risks for surrounding communities. So the activists are pushing the Pinelands Commission, that's the state's governing body, for the area to reclassify the specific 780-acre development site as protected forest.
which could set a precedent.
Potentially, yes. It could influence future land use decisions across the state. This really raises that classic difficult question, doesn't it? How do we balance the undeniable pressures of economic development and population growth with the critical need for environmental protection and conservation of vital natural resources for future generations?
It's tough balance to strike, always. Hashtag technological leaps in historical hunts. Okay, so from unraveling Earth's ancient secrets and battling its modern challenges, let's shift our focus to the accelerating pace of human ingenuity itself. Specifically, the profound leaps in artificial intelligence that are reshaping our world. OpenAI just released its GPT-5 model. They're claiming it enhances ChatGPT's performance to a PhD level. Suddenly, you might have PhD-level experts in your pocket.
A slight chuckle. Though maybe they'll still argue about the best cashew e-pepe recipe, right?
Chuckles, probably. But seriously, this is a major development, isn't it? Part of that intense AI race among tech firms.
Absolutely. They're all striving to develop the most advanced AI technologies. Enhanced capabilities and performance for users means more sophisticated, more nuanced interactions, faster and more accurate information retrieval. It reflects the continuous, almost exponential evolution of AI and natural language processing.
And the idea of PhD level. What does that really imply?
Well, it suggests a significant leap in reasoning, problem-solving, and understanding complex domains, which certainly changes what's possible in everyday digital interactions, everything from drafting scientific papers to assisting in medical diagnostics, potentially.
But this technology we rely on every day.
Yeah.
It often has these hidden costs, these geopolitical flashpoints. Let's talk about the scramble for rare earth magnets.
Ah, yes. Critical components.
The U.S. and Europe are desperately trying to reduce their reliance on them. They're crucial for so many modern technologies: electric vehicles, wind turbines, advanced military equipment. And guess who controls most of the supply?
China. Their dominance in rare earth production poses a significant strategic challenge. It gives them immense leverage in global supply chains.
So the U.S. and Europe are exploring alternatives. Rare earth-free magnets.
Exactly. And investing heavily in research initiatives to develop magnets for materials sourced outside of China. The goal is greater independence, more resilient supply chains. However, this push for new sources has a very dark side.
Okay, where are we going with this?
Particularly in Myanmar.
Oh, this is where it gets really troubling. Satellite images have revealed a surge in rare earth mining in rebel-held areas of Myanmar, right next to China. And the environmental cost is severe.
It's devastating. These mining operations, often completely unregulated, are causing severe environmental damage. We're talking toxic levels of heavy metals in Thai waterways, the poisoning of local communities who rely on these rivers for drinking water, for irrigation.
How far is this contamination spreading?
Over 100 kilometers, apparently, affecting major river systems, including the Mekong River, which supports millions of people downstream across several countries.
And China's role in this?
Well, there's growing criticism that China is effectively outsourcing environmental problems. They're the primary destination for Myanmar's rare earth exports, sidestepping their own stricter environmental regulations at home and passing the burden on to a less regulated neighbor embroiled in civil conflict.
So this raises a really important question, doesn't it? At what environmental cost does our technological advancement come? Especially when supply chains are global, complex, and oversight is minimal, sometimes non-existent.
It's a heavy question indeed, and one we need to keep asking.
All right, shifting to our digital lives and privacy. Instagram, which is owned by Meta Platforms, Inc., recently introduced a new Instagram Map feature for location sharing, content discovery. Now, before everyone panics about privacy.
Chuckles, it's important to note, that the feature is opt-in. You have to actively choose to share your location.
Okay, that's key.
That design choice aims to provide users with control over their location sharing preferences. It addresses the very real safety and privacy concerns that come with these kinds of features, especially for younger users. It puts the power in the user's hands, letting them decide what level of their digital footprint they want to share publicly.
Good. Because elsewhere, privacy is being severely violated. In Japan, there's a really concerning trend. High-definition, miniature cameras disguised as everyday objects.
Yeah, being used for voyeurism in schools across the country.
It's awful.
It's an alarming invasion of privacy. These cameras are becoming increasingly sophisticated, making them harder to detect, and they're being used to covertly film students in educational settings.
So what's being done?
Well, it's led to a rise in concerns about privacy and security, obviously, and it's prompted calls for stricter regulations and enforcement from the Japanese government to protect individuals, especially students, from exploitation and ensure safer learning environments.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Technology isn't just taking us to the stars, is it? It's also rewriting our understanding of the past, sometimes confirming things we only suspected or even read about in ancient texts. First up, Justin Myers, a pilot, believes he's made a significant discovery using Google Earth. He found anomalies near Nicobarro Island that's part of Kiribati in the Pacific Ocean, which he thinks resemble Amelia Earhart's long-lost aircraft.
Yeah, she vanished back in 1937 while trying to circumnavigate the globe. It's one of history's great mysteries.
And Nicobarro Island has always been a suspect location.
It has. It's been a focal point in the search for decades due to its proximity to her last known position. Over the years, tantalizing artifacts have been found there, like a piece of plexiglass, maybe from her plane, and personal items possibly belonging to her navigator, Fred Noonan. These were found by groups like TIGHAR, the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery.
So it's new here.
Myers' use of high-resolution satellite imagery represents a newer approach in archaeological and historical investigation. It allows for scrutiny of terrain that's difficult or impossible to access physically.
It hasn't been confirmed yet.
Not definitively through physical expeditions, no. But if his findings can be substantiated on the ground, it could mark a significant step forward in solving one of the 20th century's most captivating mysteries. It's a testament to how evolving technology can literally provide new eyes on old secrets.
And speaking of rewriting the past, turns out Leonardo da Vinci was even more of a genius than we thought. Hard to believe, I know.
Slight chuckles, right.
5 centuries after his death, scientists have finally solved a mystery from his anatomical observations of the human heart.
This is truly astonishing. Da Vinci's sketches, which he initially intended just for his artistic endeavors, were so profoundly accurate. So accurate that modern science, using techniques like MRI scans, magnetic resonance imaging, and 3D modeling, has now confirmed his precise depictions of the heart's muscular structures.
Like what specifically?
Like the helical myocardium, that's the complex spiraling arrangement of heart muscle fibers and the intricate patterns of blood flow within the heart chambers. His insights were incredibly ahead of their time.
So he wasn't just an artist observing, he was practically doing science.
Exactly. He laid foundational contributions to the fields of cardiology and medical science centuries before they formally existed. What's fascinating here is this continuous dialogue between the past and the present, enabled by technology. It enriches our understanding of human history, our origins. It shows how genius can truly transcend centuries.
And one more incredible historical discovery. Archaeologists have made an unprecedented archaeological discovery near the old city of Jerusalem in Israel. They found a 2,600-year-old clay seal.
Oh, boy.
And on it, they found the fingerprint of a biblical figure, believed to be Yedai.
This is truly tangible history. The seal, it's about the size of a coin, provides a direct connection to the ancient world. It offers insights into the bureaucracy and societal structures of that time, the Kingdom of Judah.
And the fingerprint survived.
That's what's amazing. The exceptional preservation allowed for forensic analysis of the fingerprint itself. This discovery isn't just significant for biblical scholars, Yedai is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible as a priest.
Right.
But it also raises profound questions about the historical accuracy of religious narratives and the extent to which we can corroborate these ancient texts with physical evidence. It's a powerful reminder that even the smallest artifacts can illuminate vast swaths of our cultural and spiritual heritage, bring history, even biblical history, to life. Hashtag global power plays and economic ripples.
Okay, moving from ancient history to very current global power plays.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this. It really sounds like a full-blown global trade war might be brewing, and the stakes are incredibly high. New tariffs imposed by the Trump administration in the United States have just come into force.
Yeah. Against dozens of countries, apparently at the highest rate since the Great Depression. That's a pretty stark comparison.
So what's the immediate impact likely to be?
Well, the expectation is widespread price hikes for many consumer goods for American consumers. And there are already signs of strain on the U.S. economy, with some sectors warning about potential job losses.
Now, this isn't just about economics, is it? It's deeply political.
Absolutely. From one perspective, the one implicitly driving Trump's actions, tariffs are seen as tools. Tools to protect domestic industries, ensure national security, maybe force other countries into what's perceived as fairer trade practices. The idea is to level the playing field or punish perceived unfairness.
But the counter-argument.
The anti-tariff argument, which is widely supported by mainstream economists, emphasizes that tariffs inevitably raise consumer prices. They hurt global trade, they invite retaliation from other nations, and they can seriously strain international alliances.
Which leads to the critical question. Who stands to lose the most? And who might actually benefit in the long run from these kinds of aggressive trade policies?
That's the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it?
One of the primary targets for these new tariffs seems to be India. President Trump imposed a hefty 50% tariff on Indian imports.
Right, and the specific justification cited was India's continued purchases of Russian oil, despite Western sanctions related to the war in Ukraine.
How is India reacting?
Well, it creates a ripple effect. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has actually been meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin, reiterating their commitment to a strategic partnership, even amid Trump's tariffs.
So doubling down in a way.
Seems like it. Modi has vowed to protect Indian farmers' interests, and India justifies the Russian oil imports as essential for energy security for their rapidly growing economy. They argue they need affordable energy.
And Trump's response to that?
He's announced he's halting trade negotiations with India. His quote was, "Not until we get it resolved." So, a standoff.
In response to all this, Brazil and India have agreed to strengthen bilateral ties and expand cooperation. They're reaffirming support for multilateralism, fair trade, basically pushing back against the U.S. tariffs.
And the BRICS nations, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are now planning a coordinated response to U.S. trade pressure. Brazil's President Lula da Silva is even proposing a BRICS summit specifically to address these challenges.
So it's a clear pushback against unilateral trade actions, maybe showcasing a shift in global economic alignments.
It certainly could be interpreted that way. Countries looking to strengthen ties amongst themselves in the face of U.S. pressure.
And the economic ripples aren't just affecting countries, are they? They're hitting global markets directly.
Yeah, those unexpected tariffs on imports of gold bars, which notably affects Switzerland's important gold refining sector, apparently blindsided the global market. U.S. gold futures shot up to a record high.
Wow. It just highlights the unpredictable nature of these trade disputes, doesn't it? How quickly confidence can erode, impacting even traditional safe haven assets like gold.
Absolutely. Uncertainty drives volatility.
Speaking of U.S. influence and potential shifts, President Trump has nominated Stephen Miran, a White House economic advisor described as a loyalist, to a vacant Federal Reserve board seat. This instantly raises concerns, doesn't it?
It does, significantly. This nomination reignites that long-standing debate over the central bank's independence. Miran has previously advocated for a significant overhaul of Fed governance, suggesting a desire to reduce the Federal Reserve's autonomy.
So critics are worried about.
They're concerned, particularly Democrats in Congress, that his appointment would increase White House influence over the Federal Reserve's monetary policy decisions, things like setting interest rates. They worry about politicizing economic decisions that are traditionally meant to be independent.
It reflects a desire for more control over the central bank's traditionally independent role, which could have long-term implications for the stability and credibility of U.S. monetary policy.
Precisely. Maintaining central bank independence is seen by many economists as crucial for long-term economic stability.
And speaking of changes, Trump also signed an order easing the path for including private assets, including cryptocurrency and 401k retirement plans. So, your retirement planning just got a little wilder.
Chuckles, indeed. or potentially more lucrative, depending on your perspective and risk tolerance. The aim here is to boost private equity investments within 401k accounts, provide more options for retirement savers to explore alternative assets, potentially offering greater returns by accessing non-public markets.
But there are risks, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. It comes with acknowledging the potential risks of these less regulated, often more volatile alternative assets, particularly cryptocurrencies. It's a move towards greater investment flexibility, but definitely with a higher potential risk profile for individual savers. It requires careful consideration of their risk tolerance and, frankly, their financial literacy regarding these complex assets.
Right. And in other corporate drama that spills into politics, President Trump has demanded that Intel's CEO resign.
Yeah, over alleged ties to China.
This caused a pretty immediate drop in Intel stock, didn't it? Raising all sorts of concerns about conflicts of interest, national security, especially given Intel's critical role in semiconductor manufacturing.
It certainly did. The Intel CEO was reportedly already at odds with his own board over strategy, and this public demand from the president just amplifies those internal rifts. It really highlights the growing tension between national security concerns and the deep interconnectedness of global tech supply chains and investments.
So the broader implication is increasing pressure on American corporations to decouple from China.
That seems to be the trend. Amidst these geopolitical rivalries, there's pressure to reduce reliance, even when it affects their bottom line and stock value.
Meanwhile, while the U.S. navigates its economic and political landscape, Russia's state-owned nuclear corporation, Rosatom, is forging ahead globally.
They've just begun engineering surveys for Kazakhstan's first nuclear power plant, expected to be operational around 2036.
And this is despite current geopolitical tensions.
It showcases Rosatom's continued global work, yeah. They have an extensive portfolio and are strategically important in the global nuclear energy sector, involved in projects across India, Europe, Africa, and Asia. This particular project in Kazakhstan will feature their latest generation of third plus VVER 1200 reactors. It emphasizes long-term energy partnerships and reflects Russia's ongoing influence in the global energy landscape, regardless of sanctions or tensions elsewhere.
Okay, and when we talk about investing in the future, it really seems like a tale of two very different paths sometimes. Space and fossil fuels.
That's a good way to put it.
On one hand, Firefly Aerospace, a private American aerospace manufacturer, just had a really successful Wall Street debut. Its stock soared, giving it a $9.8 billion valuation after a sizzling IPO launch. This followed a historic moon landing for its lunar lander earlier.
Yeah, space is clearly a hot investment right now. The commercial space sector is booming, attracting significant investor confidence. It's driven by both national security interests and the promise of things like space tourism and maybe even resource extraction down the line.
But then, on the flip side, we have to ask that question the sources raise. Why are investors still financing fossil fuels?
It's a huge dilemma, isn't it? Despite overwhelming scientific consensus on climate change and global commitments like the Paris Agreement, the money keeps flowing.
There's a big debate here between divestment, just pulling money out, and engagement, trying to influence companies from within.
Right. We've seen examples like Denmark's academic pension, a pension fund, actively shifting $1 billion from oil giants to renewable energy, citing both financial and ethical reasons.
But many still argue that regulation, rather than purely voluntary actions by investors, is what's truly crucial to accelerate the shift away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy investments.
That's a strong argument. It's hard to ignore the established profit margins and infrastructure of the fossil fuel industry, especially in times of energy instability or high prices.
Though the global financial system is still heavily invested.
Very heavily. And while renewable energy offers increasingly cheaper and more sustainable alternatives, the transition faces significant inertia. You have existing infrastructure, powerful political lobbies, and the allure of short-term economic gains. The argument is that without strong regulatory frameworks, things like carbon pricing, clear incentives for renewables, the pace of change will simply be too slow to meet global climate goals, and investors will continue to seek returns where they've traditionally found them.
It's a complex web of finance, politics, and environmental reality. We also saw a quick note about Buc-ee's, the giant gas station chain, getting approval to build its fourth Georgia location. A specific business story, but maybe a small sign of where some infrastructure investment is still going.
A very specific indicator, perhaps. Tag conflicts, crises, and humanitarian challenges.
Okay, moving on to global conflicts and crises, and this requires a careful approach. Let's turn our attention first to Ukraine. A recent Gallup survey has revealed a really dramatic shift in public mood there.
Yeah, around 69% of Ukrainians now apparently prefer peace negotiations to continuing the fight. That's a huge change from earlier in the war.
What's driving that shift?
Well, the reporting suggests it's attributed to mounting casualties, immense economic challenges, and growing discontent with the draft and recruitment practices. Understandable fatigue after over 2 years of brutal conflict.
And President Zelensky's approval rating has declined sharply amidst these hardships.
It has. Additionally, the survey points to a growing disillusionment with Ukraine's Western allies, particularly the United States. Even though a majority still support Western involvement in eventual peace talks, it highlights the immense strain and weariness setting in.
And this shift toward diplomacy seems to be coinciding with some interesting, if still speculative, moves on the international stage.
Right. The Kremlin has been hinting at a potential Putin-Trump meeting in the coming days, possibly in the United Arab Emirates.
And Trump himself has stated that Russian President Vladimir Putin doesn't need to meet Zelensky first for a Russia-U.S. summit. His envoy, Steve Witkoff, apparently had productive talks with Putin in Moscow.
This is a critical development to watch, suggesting potential shifts in diplomatic strategy, particularly with the U.S. elections looming. However, others are pushing back.
Like who?
Former UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace, he stressed that a European power with vested interests absolutely should be included in any potential peace summit. He's arguing against the idea of a purely U.S.-Russia-Ukraine discussion, saying European security is directly impacted.
And Russia's position.
Russia, for its part, continues to view any peacekeeping troops as military intervention and maintains its core demands for Ukraine to remain neutral and demilitarize. These remain key sticking points in any potential negotiations.
And the nature of the conflict itself is still evolving rapidly, isn't it? We're seeing reports of uncrewed boats launching FPV first-person view drone strikes on key Russian radars located on Crimea's southern tip.
Yes, this showcases the continuous rapid evolution of drone warfare and asymmetric tactics. It has strategic implications, potentially impairing Russia's ability to monitor Black Sea skies and defend against further attacks.
Meanwhile, there's this controversial policy from the Pentagon, allowing U.S.-made weapons, originally designated for Ukraine, to be redirected back to American stockpiles.
Right. Under the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative program, former Ukrainian Prime Minister Mykola Azarov has publicly criticized this, accusing the Kiev leadership of having sold out the country and squandering massive Western aid. He argues it could deprive Ukraine of billions in equipment at a crucial time.
That raises complex questions, doesn't it, about a nation's sovereign right to defend itself versus the immense human cost, and the roles of external powers in supporting, or some might argue, prolonging conflicts.
It absolutely does, especially when aid comes with conditions or can be redirected.
Adding another layer of complexity, Nicaragua's National Assembly has actually condemned Ukraine, accusing them of causing civilian deaths, including children, and endorsing a Russian report that labeled Ukrainian attacks as terrorism.
This just highlights the deep divisions in international opinion regarding the conflict. It reflects different geopolitical alignments and, frankly, very different information ecosystems. It really brings back that core question. How do we balance a nation's sovereign right to defend itself with the immense human cost and the growing desire for peace among its populace? And what roles do external powers play in either prolonging or resolving these conflicts, especially when there are such competing narratives and alliances, making impartial reporting incredibly challenging?
Moving to another deeply troubling conflict, Gaza. So what does this all mean? The reporting from the ground sounds dire, and the political responses are incredibly complex and divisive. Israel's security cabinet has approved a plan to expand military operations and take over Gaza City, potentially leading to a full military takeover of the Gaza Strip.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's stated goals include the complete removal of Hamas, securing the return of all hostages, the demilitarization of Gaza, establishing Israeli security control for an indefinite period, and then eventually transferring governance to Arab neighbors. He has reiterated publicly that Israel does not want to keep control of Gaza permanently.
But this plan has sparked immediate and widespread international outcry.
Yes. The UN rights chief called for an immediate halt, warning of more displacement, suffering, and atrocity crimes. He stated unequivocally that the plan goes against international law and the right to self-determination for the Palestinian people.
And the human cost is just unimaginable. Families of hostages held by Hamas are expressing immense distress, fear that this plan could lead to the abandonment of their loved ones, making their rescue even more remote.
It's heartbreaking. And on top of that, Gaza is facing what reports describe as apocalyptic levels of famine. Nearly 200 lives have reportedly been claimed by starvation, including 96 children. The World Health Organization, the WHO, warns that 12,000 children under 5 are suffering from acute malnutrition.
How is aid delivery going?
That's a huge part of the problem. The humanitarian crisis is escalating rapidly due to severe obstacles in aid delivery. Restrictions on accessing food and nutrition supplements, overcrowded conditions, blocked roads, ongoing insecurity. They're all preventing humanitarian operations. It's leading to what some are calling deadly aid hubs.
Deadly aid hubs.
Yeah, organizations like Doctors Without Borders have warned that these hubs, meant to distribute aid, are themselves becoming dangerous due to chaos, desperation, and even attacks.
So it's crucial here to understand the different perspectives.
Absolutely. There's the Israeli security perspective, which is centered on destroying Hamas's military capabilities and establishing a security perimeter to prevent future attacks like the ones on October 7th. Then there are the profound humanitarian and international law concerns regarding civilian suffering, mass displacement, and the fundamental right to self-determination for Palestinians. Sources also report disagreements with the military within Israel itself over the specifics and feasibility of the Gaza occupation plan, indicating the internal complexities and debates surrounding such decisions.
This situation has even drawn in former U.S. President Donald Trump, according to reports.
Yes, reports suggest he shouted at Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during a phone call after Netanyahu downplayed reports of starvation in Gaza. Trump reportedly insisted the starvation was real and claimed his aides had evidence.
And this is somehow linked to Trump's personal interest in the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
That's the connection being made in some reports. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has faced criticism from UN experts and human rights groups for allegedly serving broader military and geopolitical agendas rather than providing legitimate, neutral relief. It raises serious questions about aid neutrality in conflict zones and the potential for humanitarian efforts to become politicized.
And then there was that highly controversial proposal, reportedly linked to Trump's suggestion, where the Boston consulting group BCG modeled the resettlement of more than 2 million Palestinians from Gaza.
Yeah, to countries like Somalia and Somaliland, this plan was immediately and widely rejected, labeled ethnic cleansing by critics across the political spectrum. It led BCG to quickly disavow the plan and dismiss employees involved. It underscores the extreme sensitivity and, frankly, the abhorrent nature of such proposals involving mass displacement.
And there are also reports of Israel considering retaliatory measures against the UK in response to its potential recognition of Palestinian statehood.
Right. Measures potentially including the suspension of intelligence sharing. This shows how incredibly intertwined these geopolitical issues are, spilling over into traditional alliances.
So the potential recognition of a Palestinian state by European nations following the lead of countries like Spain, Ireland, and Norway is viewed by Israel as
a unilateral move that undermines a negotiated two-state solution framework. This demonstrates the immense international pressure building on Israel and the deeply complex diplomatic dance happening across the globe regarding this decades-long conflict.
It's just a stark reminder that while some conflicts dominate the headlines, humanitarian crises are unfolding globally, demanding our attention. Beyond Ukraine and Gaza, we see reports of impending famine in El Fasher, Sudan.
Yeah, the city has been under siege for almost a year. It's putting 300,000 inhabitants at risk of famine, with blocked roads preventing food assistance. This is all due to the ongoing brutal civil war between the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, and the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SFF.
And in Haiti?
Businessman Laurent Sancier has been appointed as the head of Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council. This is amidst ongoing challenges of gang violence, corruption, and economic insecurity. The goal is to restore state authority and prepare for elections in 2026, but the obstacles are immense, with powerful criminal gangs controlling large parts of the capital, Port-au-Prince.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has doubled the reward for information leading to the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro to $50 million.
Right, accusing him of drug trafficking and working with cartels. It intensifies pressure on the Venezuelan government, which the U.S. doesn't recognize as legitimate.
Moving to U.S. domestic policy, specifically around immigration, the U.S. is planning to build its largest ever migrant detention facility named Camp East Montana on a military base in Texas.
Initially for 1,000 migrants, with plans to expand to 5,000 beds. This falls within President Trump's broader focus on cracking down on undocumented migrants, which has already led to record levels of detentions by ICE, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It's a significant scale-up of detention infrastructure.
Another related, very controversial move is Trump's aim to alter census data collection to exclude undocumented immigrants.
Yes, this would have significant impacts on congressional redistricting, potentially shifting political power, and also affecting federal funding allocations away from states with large immigrant populations. This has sparked widespread controversy, with critics arguing it is discriminatory and unconstitutional.
And we're seeing broader immigration enforcement measures, too.
Seems so. The U.S. announced a pause on all routine visa applications for citizens of Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Zambia, citing national security and public safety reasons as part of broader immigration enforcement policies.
Then there was that incident dubbed Operation Trojan Horse in Los Angeles, California. Federal agents detained individuals after emerging from a rented Penske moving van.
Right. That drew attention and criticism for the deceptive tactic used by federal agents during an immigration raid.
The FBI Federal Bureau of Investigation is also getting involved in Texas politics.
Apparently so. GOP Senator John Cornyn stated the FBI will help locate Texas Democratic lawmakers who left the state to block a controversial redistricting bill. It reflects increasing federal involvement in state-level political disputes, which is unusual.
And Trump has also announced an increase in federal law enforcement presence in Washington, D.C.
Yes, sparking discussions and concerns about the federalization of D.C. When we talk about the federalization of D.C., it refers to this announcement, sparking concerns about potentially stripping local control from the district and placing it under direct federal authority. Critics see it as a challenge to D.C.'s self-governance and an overreach of federal power.
He's also planning to force new disclosure of college admissions data, focusing on affirmative action.
Right, requiring universities to submit detailed applicant race data for transparency. It's a move clearly intended to scrutinize and potentially challenge diversity initiatives in higher education following recent Supreme Court rulings.
Okay, let's hop across the pond to the UK. There's been some political ethics drama unfolding there. The UK homelessness minister, Rushanara Ali, resigned.
Yeah, amidst claims she increased rent significantly on a house she owns shortly after the previous tenant's contracts ended.
The timing looks bad.
Very bad. She was quickly labeled the minister for hypocrisy by some media outlets. It certainly raised concerns about housing affordability and the need for transparent policies among public officials, especially given her portfolio and the UK's ongoing housing crisis.
And then there was that other MP, Rupert Lowe, who mistakenly identified charity rowers on the River Thames as illegal migrants.
Slight chuckle. Yeah, that was an awkward one. He subsequently stated he will donate £1,000 to charity to atone for the error. It just goes to show how easy it is to make assumptions in the current climate, perhaps, and how quickly public figures are held accountable for those assumptions. Hashtag justice, sports, and societal notes.
All right, let's turn to some high-profile crime and justice stories making headlines. The fallout from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal continues, doesn't it?
It does. Victims are speaking out, expressing concerns of a potential cover-up. Accuser Alicia Arden is publicly advocating for Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's associate, to remain in custody.
And some media outlets are suggesting an ongoing cover-up under the Trump administration, demanding the release of investigation files.
Yes, those calls for transparency persist, particularly given the high-profile individuals implicated over the years. It's a case that continues to unravel and demand answers.
Then there's that truly bizarre case from Australia, the mushroom murderer.
Oh, that one is horrifying. The alleged attempts to kill her estranged husband, Simon Patterson, with poisoned pasta, cookies, and curry, leaving him in a coma. His family was apparently told twice to say their goodbyes.
It just highlights the potentially sinister side of domestic disputes taken to an extreme.
Absolute chilling detail.
Also in Australia, Gareth Ward, who was convicted of rape last month, has now officially resigned from the New South Wales Parliament after losing his legal bid to stay.
Right, highlighting the ongoing battles for political ethics and accountability globally, and the eventual consequences for serious misconduct in public office.
Closer to home, in Sheffield, UK, a truly tragic case saw a 15-year-old boy found guilty of murdering a fellow pupil, Harvey Wilgoose, also 15, at All Saints Catholic High School.
Yeah, during their lunch break, The incident reportedly stemmed from a Snapchat row and it involved a hidden knife brought to school.
It's just a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of escalating disputes among teenagers and the terrifying presence of weapons in school environments.
Absolutely devastating. Also in the UK, a suspected people smuggler, a 22-year-old Iranian, was arrested in Acox Green, Birmingham, following a BBC investigation. It highlights the persistent issue of illegal immigration and the human trafficking networks operating across borders.
On a policy note, new legislation in the UK aims to give victims of crime more peace of mind by keeping serious offenders in restricted zones.
Yeah, potentially creating geographical exclusion zones for convicted individuals after release, designed to prevent re-victimization.
Okay, shifting gears to sports. There's been some exciting news in tennis. Canada's Victoria Mboko is emerging as a real rising star.
Yeah, an impressive 22-match unbeaten run, culminating in her maiden WTA Women's Tennis Association title victory.
And who did she beat in the final?
None other than Naomi Osaka, coming from behind to win the Canadian Open final, a huge win for her.
Wow. A sign of a new generation emerging in women's tennis, perhaps. What about cricket?
Some action there that's sparking speculation and anticipation for the upcoming Ashes series between England and Australia. In the men's 100 competition, Northern Superchargers bowler Matthew Potts dismissed the Australian star cricketer Steve Smith.
Always big news when Smith gets out.
Exactly. And Zach Raleigh scored an impressive 67 runs, leading to a decisive victory for the Superchargers. Also, Harry Brook hit what was described as an absolutely outrageous 6 on the very first ball of his 2025 campaign.
Chuckles. Absolutely outrageous. Love the commentary. Okay, moving to American football, the NFL National Football League preseason has already seen some significant injury woes.
Yeah, Chargers star offensive lineman Rashawn Slater was carted off with an apparent left leg injury during practice. That raises concerns for the team, especially as they lack a designated backup.
Ouch. And Colts cornerback Anthony Richardson suffered a dislocated pinky finger.
Yep. He reportedly said, "I looked down and saw my finger in a different direction." Sounds painful. He's listed as day-to-day for now.
Yikes. Okay, and more. Bizarre sports news. There's this unusual connection between WNBA Women's National Basketball Association's sex toy incidents and a cryptocurrency group's money scheme.
Slight chuckle. Yeah, it's a weird one. Recent arrests have been made for people throwing sex toys onto the court during WNBA games. Apparently, it was part of a bizarre publicity stunt tied to some crypto project trying to get attention. Seriously. A WNBA coach has spoken out, emphasizing quite rightly that they are not the butt of the joke in this strange, frankly disrespectful episode.
Laughs. No. Definitely not the butt of the joke. Okay, speaking of football or soccer, depending on where you are, Manchester United has invested a reported $201 million worth of new forwards, and they're now looking to improve their midfield. Big spending there.
And Liverpool manager Arne Slot has hinted at making a new bid for Newcastle's star striker Alexander Isak, following Darwin Núñez's imminent departure, likely to Saudi Arabia.
Lots of movement. And sadly, Liverpool is also honoring the memory of forward Diogo Jota, who tragically passed away after an accident recently. A mix of exciting transfers and poignant moments for football fans.
Indeed. We also saw articles where fans are sharing personal stories of why they support their clubs, ranging from memorable first games to strong bonds, with players really highlighting the deep cultural significance and community aspect of football.
Also in football news, the Premier League in England has ended its partnership with the LGBTQ+ lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning, and others charity Stonewall.
Yeah, a move that sparked considerable debate about inclusivity and corporate partnerships in sports.
And finally, in the realm of athletes and their money, NBA fans reacted to Luka Doncic's purchase of a rare $2 million Rimac Nevera hypercar.
One of only 150 units in the world, just showcasing the sometimes extravagant lifestyles of top athletes.
All right. Shifting briefly to health and daily life notes, the healthcare crisis in Gaza continues to be desperate, with reports from maternity wards describing scenes where life and death coexist.
Just highlighting the immense ongoing challenges faced by medical professionals and expectant mothers in the conflict zone. It's a critical situation.
On a different note for healthcare, a BBC article discussed how a port clinic stopped my leg turning septic and could potentially be the future of NHS care in the UK.
Yeah, suggesting innovative, localized models for urgent, non-emergency treatment. Things like walk-in clinics and accessible locations to alleviate pressure on overwhelmed hospitals.
And there's that alarming trend in health we keep hearing about. Colorectal cancer diagnoses are increasing rapidly among younger adults.
Right. One article cited one key reason for this rise, largely dietary and lifestyle changes associated with modern living. But it highlights the crucial importance of awareness and early detection in this age group, as it's often misdiagnosed initially in younger patients who don't fit the traditional risk profile.
It really underscores the need for proactive health measures and maybe different public awareness campaigns targeted at younger demographics.
Definitely. On a more positive note, there's continued exploration and fascination with the concept of blue zones.
Ah, yes, the places where people live longer, healthier lives.
Exactly. Regions where people live well into their 90s and even 100s. These zones share common factors, largely plant-based diets, daily physical activity integrated naturally into routines, strong social ties and community involvement, and a clear sense of purpose that keeps them engaged. Lessons there for all of us, perhaps.
Unfortunately, tragedy is also a constant presence in the news cycle. There was a fatal medical plane crash near Nairobi, Kenya, resulting in at least 6 deaths.
Yeah, and a 4-year-old boy, Zahir Yan, was fatally hit by a bus outside a hospital in the UK. Just awful.
And young footballer Adam Golubiewski tragically lost his legs in a car crash in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. He stated he will never forgive the driver responsible, underscoring the devastating long-term impact of reckless driving.
These are truly heartbreaking incidents that remind us of life's fragility and the consequences of negligence.
In lighter news, Britons are apparently changing their holiday habits, opting for later, closer, shorter UK breaks.
Yeah, to save money and enjoy the local hot weather, according to the reports. It indicates a shift towards domestic tourism, perhaps driven by economic pressures and maybe a desire for simpler travel.
Also, a family in rural Scotland was stunned after massive animals, believed to be a herd of wild deer, arrived in their yard and stayed for a couple of hours.
Slight chuckle. They speculated the deer must be used to people, maybe due to increasing human-wildlife interaction or encroachment on habitats. A surprising visit, nonetheless.
And for book lovers, Waterstones apologized after readers branded their annual Bookfest event in central London utter chaos due to large crowds and long queues. Maybe a victim of its own success.
Possibly. A logistical challenge for sure.
And finally, for some truly important news for foodies everywhere, a pasta recipe from the BBC's Good Food for Cacio e Pepe has stirred up a fury in Italy.
Chuckles. Oh dear, what did they do wrong?
Apparently, the recipe included cream. A Rome cafe owner criticized it heavily because, as we know, Italians value traditional cooking methods. You do not put cream in cacio e pepe.
Laughs. It's a serious cultural offense. A truly pressing culinary debate that highlights the passion and importance of culinary traditions. Never mess with Italian pasta recipes.
Never. And finally, on the entertainment front, Gary Lineker, the former footballer and prominent broadcaster, is set to host a new game show called The Box on ITV.
Right, marking his return to mainstream TV presenting after a temporary suspension following an anti-Semitism row. It showcases his continued prominence in UK media. Hashtag outro.
Wow, okay. What an incredible deep dive into the world's most significant headlines today. I mean, we really covered everything from sending spacecraft to black holes and the philosophical concept of a conscious universe right down to the microscopic power of accelerating evolution.
Yeah, we explored the secrets of Mars and Saturn, watched our own planet grapple with devastating wildfires and floods, and examined the complex battles over rare earth elements and the often hidden environmental costs of our technological ambitions.
We also delved into high-stakes global power plays with Trump's new tariffs, the shifts in U.S. economic policy and Federal Reserve influence, and the ongoing, deeply challenging conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, alongside other critical humanitarian crises in Sudan, Haiti, and Venezuela.
We looked at immigration policy shifts, political ethics in the UK, and even delved into justice, sports, and health, connecting the dots between all these seemingly disparate events.
It's a lot. And that's why we do what we do here. It's about cutting through the noise, trying to understand the connections, the bigger picture. So here's a thought to leave you with. In a world where technology reveals ancient secrets and designs new life, yet humanity grapples with age-old conflicts and pressing environmental threats, how do we harness our incredible scientific power to truly navigate the complex currents of our shared human experience, rather than merely observe them?
How do we ensure that our pursuit of knowledge and progress is equally matched by our commitment to global well-being, to justice, to environmental stewardship? It's a profound question for all of us to ponder, isn't it, as we continue to engage with the world around us and try to make sense of its complexities.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you feel a little more enlightened and perhaps just a little more curious about the amazing, complicated worlds we live in. We'll see you next time.